Hi, I'm Kurt Smith, and welcome to App Talks, a series of conversations with Salesforce customers on how using business apps from the AppExchange can help you manage all aspects of your business. Today I'm here with David Woolwind from ModSquad to talk about how ModSquad is using Intacct to transform the way they manage their finance and accounting processes. Welcome to App Talks, David.
Thanks so much, Kurt. It's great to be here.
So tell me about ModSquad.
Yeah, I'd love to. ModSquad is a digital engagement services company. We're a people business, and we're providing those services to our clients in over 50 countries in 50 different languages. And to do that, we leverage our network of over 10,000 mods. And I'd encourage you and everyone that's watching this to check us out on ModSquad.com, and they can learn a little bit more about us.
So tell me about your business and the challenges you were facing.
So we were going through a hyper growth phase, which is continuing actually, which is great, but we were facing some typical challenges you might expect, right? The system you had in place when you were just starting out was great then, it was working, but now we were starting to have some growing pains. Systems weren't talking to each other. We didn't have common data elements between them. And we were holding things together with people and Excel. Also, invoices were starting to get a little lengthy and a little rough around the edges, and we were having to spend an inordinate amount of time explaining what services were delivered to our clients. And when I came into the company 3 years ago, I sat down, went through a couple of billing and close cycles and said, you know what? This thing's not going to scale to meet our current growth needs and our future projected growth needs. And I also sat down with our Senior Vice President of Sales, Mary Lex, and we kind of crystallized a vision around, once Salesforce opportunity got marked closed won, right, and the client contract was closed, we would be able to take that client opportunity and that contract ID and flow it through the system so that what we sold is what we bill, what we deliver, and what we measure. And we're there now, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you that. So you're in hypergrowth stage. You have this forecast for continued hypergrowth, and the systems are not going to scale. How is this impacting your employees and your team?
Well, our employees were spending a bit of time, actually, in Excel, doing a lot of tactical, what I call grinding, right? Inputting numbers, ticking and tying, we were passing spreadsheets back and forth in email. And we were actually emailing invoices back and forth for approvals. And it got to be too inefficient, and it wasn't scalable, as I mentioned before.
So as a Salesforce customer, as you mentioned, you knew there was a better way out there somewhere. How did you go about starting that process to go find an ERP partner to work with?
So we went through a full-blown vendor selection process like most people do. We had our vision in mind for the system that was going to meet that vision that our SVP of Sales and I laid out, right? And we actually got our C-level execs involved early on in the process, involved them, they viewed the demos with us, right? And we interviewed a lot of VARs, looked at a lot of systems, and we settled on Intacct because of the ease of integration with Salesforce.
Why Intacct? Why were they the ultimate winner?
So Intacct had a lot of things going for it that the other systems didn't. I really liked the ease of use of the interface. It was very simple, and it looked very easy to use, and I was hoping that I could come up to speed on it very quickly, and that's proven to be the case, right? Because of its simplicity and its elegance. Even a guy like me can learn it quickly with minimal training, and that's the first point. Second point would be their marketplace partners, right? They don't try to be all things to all people, Kurt. They've got the core modules, and then it's like a partner cloud, really. And you can pick and choose from those partners to customize your system to meet your needs.
Fantastic. So how did the implementation and rollout go? You mentioned even you figured out how to use it. So.
And, I could even help with the install, surprisingly, right? So it went really well. We were live with the core module in 4 months. We, of course, encountered some bumps in the road, but the integration with Salesforce with the pre-built API was a snap. And that's one of the first challenges we tackled, was getting Salesforce talking to Intacct in a common language, right? And Salesforce is kind of the bedrock of the system, because when opportunities get moved, they transition from opportunities to closed won, we close the contract with the client, then we can generate the project ID, the contract ID, and of course we've got a set of common SKUs to describe our services. Those things flow automatically into Intacct and mesh the two systems together through the API.
And I imagine this must have had a huge impact on your relationship with your customers now that things are streamlined and a lot clearer.
Yeah, really, now our invoices are streamlined. We have a common language for discussing the services that we've delivered and billed, and our conversations with our clients go quicker. We get less questions about the invoices, and we also get paid on time. In more instances,
which is a wonderful thing.
Yes.
Right? And happy customers makes everybody happy. So
absolutely,
that's fantastic. Tell me a little bit about how it's impacted your day-to-day business operations and some of the KPIs and metrics that you use to measure your success.
Yeah, I would say that Intacct's filterable dashboards are a godsend, and the KPIs on them provide insights into our business that we didn't have before. We have typical KPIs that a service businesses have, right? Average bill rate, average cost per billable hour, utilization. And we've also done some customization around the KPIs. And the filters, right? We can filter by time period or account manager or client. And if we want to go deeper, we can look at the KPIs and the performance of an individual project, which is terrific. The impact of that, not only do we have the additional insights, but we're able to galvanize efforts to drive profitability across the company. And that's been the result, actually. People have come together. They want to make things better. And not only are they a godsend, but they're energizing people to help us improve our performance, which is terrific.
That was the next part I wanted to ask you about, was what has been the impact on the employees now that you have greater transparency and they're not spending so much time crunching cells in Excel?
I think people are very excited about the type of work they're doing. I personally have spent time in one of those tactical roles, back in the day, and it's not a lot of fun rekeying data into a spreadsheet, right? I mean, let's face it.
Exactly.
So they've kind of moved up the value chain. They're more energized. They're doing higher order work and adding a lot of value to the company because they've been freed up out of the Excel human systems interface roles.
Fantastic. So they're more analysts than just crunching numbers.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
What it's done for the company is we have a much more streamlined, scalable system. And again, we've realized that vision where what we sell is what we deliver, is what we bill, and what we measure against internally.
So what's been the bottom line impact on your business?
Well, we've got a lot more streamlined processes to begin with, right? We've got that scalable system in place. We haven't had to add a lot of headcount to manage our hypergrowth, and we have happier employees, happier customers, and really we've achieved what I like to call instant ROI, right? You don't need a calculator to compute it. And when we add all that up, we think our ROI is around 2.5x.
Wow.
Not to mention the improved accuracy, the integration of the systems, realizing that crystallized vision with the SVP of sales, right? We really have what we sell is what we bill, is what we measure, and what we deliver. And it's really been a terrific win for us and for internally and externally, I'd say.
So David, one of the things we like to do on App Talks is always end with some peer-to-peer advice. So if I was in your shoes and I'm looking for an ERP solution, what advice would you give me?
I think the two key pieces of advice are be persistent and be flexible. Persistence pays, obviously, and not everything is going to go the way you think it will when you draw things up on paper during the vendor selection and systems design process, right? And so you have to be ready to pivot when you encounter roadblocks during the install, and otherwise you'll stall out and lose momentum. So also, don't take no for an answer, because sometimes that roadblock, it looks like a roadblock, but it's just a speed bump. There were a couple of instances where I got told no a few times, no, it won't work, and we persevered, and it did, and we got better systems functionality as a result, Kurt. I would add, have regular status meetings. Sounds simple, right? Be clear about how you assign accountability for action items and follow up during those status meetings. Get the C-level execs involved early in the process, as well as some sample power users during the systems design and even the vendor selection process, right? Those people can provide valuable insight in the selection process. And then you, of course, want to get the C-level execs and the key execs on board to get sponsorship for the install and the implementation.
Well, that's great advice. Thanks, David, very much for being here. Really enjoyed speaking with you. And thank you for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you on the next App Talks.